All right, TST Sports. I'm the man behind the curtain today. We have our hosts in, Q's and Silk back. I think it was a day or two after our last sports one. Silk called me and said, "Hey, I have a guest that we need to bring in." We got the one and only Boogie Johnson in, running back coach of Wheeling Park High School, former running back of Oklahoma State. Boogie, thanks for coming in. Really appreciate you.
Oh, you're welcome, man. Anytime.
So before I let you guys just go into a sports, if you could give my listeners a little bit of like who you are, a little bit of your story, and what you're doing up at Park right now, how your season's going, something about your players.
Yeah, I'm Boogie Johnson. I'm from Wheeling. I graduated from Wheeling Park High School in 1992. I won the Kennedy Award in '92, the Player of the Year. Then I went on to Oklahoma State. I started as a redshirt freshman, played 3 years. I hurt my knee, and that was really the end of my football career because in the '90s, if you hurt your knees back then, you were done. If I'd have hurt my knee now, it'd have got fixed and I'd been able to play, but not in the early '90s, you were done.
Right.
And then, of course, then I come back home and became actually Coach Dockery, the head coach. Me and him played with each other at Park. And when I was a sophomore, he was a senior, and we both were in the backfield. He was the power eye back, and actually Doc had a bad knee injury my sophomore year. I forget what game it was. Ended his career early, real bad knee injury. And then, of course, once Doc became the head coach, he called me to come help. So. And I've been coaching ever since. So then I became the running back coach, and help wherever else out I need.
What year was that you came back?
I came back in 97, maybe 97. I think 97. In there, 96, 97. I think 97. But yeah. But then I started coaching. I can't remember the year. It was Savion was born. It had to be. 'Cause I've been coaching for at least, I think, 14, 15, about 15 years at least.
Nice.
So.
All at Park?
All at Park, yep.
We have your season up on the screen now. What can you say about this year compared to others?
Man, I tell you, we had a lot of questions early. We, of course, we lost Tank at the beginning of the season, our real fast receiver, to IMG, which, we can't blame him for going.
No, not at all.
But, I mean, he also, what a lot of people don't understand about Tank is that Tank had a bunch of those offers before he even left. Florida had already contacted Wheeling Park. I mean, not saying they were going to offer him a full ride because he's from West Virginia.
Right.
Of course, going to IMG, they just look at everything different because he's IMG.
Mm-hmm.
But what people don't understand is he never played football at IMG yet. He didn't play football till this fall. He already had these offers in the spring. And people were like, oh, they were saying to me, oh, of course he left and got these offers. No. All his tape is from when he played at Wheeling Park. And that's all the film they have. And, but I can't blame him for going. He has a great experience. He's like a college student in high school. And, he learned a lot and playing against some of the top kids in the country. Mm-hmm. So that's how it started. So then we have, we have two young receivers, Michael and Keon, they weren't really young, but they didn't get as much notoriety because of Tank.
Right.
And they were also good, but they were really good, but their stats didn't show that they were really good. And so those two really got to show this year what they both could do. I think the one had 800 yards receiving, the other one had like 755.
Right.
Like they're like 50 yard different. They both, I think one had 12 touchdowns, the other one had 11 touchdowns. So those two really got to prove a lot. And of course, both of them will go to college and play football also now.
Yeah, that's great.
Yep. So they both have about 5 or 6 offers apiece. Division twos. Michael's getting some Division I looks. Actually, Michael's going to West Virginia to the game this Saturday. They're inviting him down. And I don't know what they're going to offer him. If they're going to offer him a preferred walk-on, we don't know. But there's some Youngstown State, a couple of teams we're talking to also. But yeah, but other than that, of course, you want me to keep going?
Right.
Okay.
Go ahead.
And then of course we got Aiden Davis, our quarterback, he's amazing. He
Runs
comes
in the
with
family.
he
for
runs
sure.
in the family. He got his dad Jose and of course Nate. He comes from those two, and behind those two, the quarterback legacy, and I mean, almost every ball he's so accurate throwing the ball. He puts it right where it's supposed to be. I think he had 28 touchdowns at one time, 0 interceptions.
Ooh,
I think he ended up having 3, but I mean 3 at the end. I think 28 touchdowns, 3 interceptions on the whole season, which was that's amazing. And of course he'll be back next year. And then of course then you have my son who's a sophomore running back. He ended up having a really good year. I think he ended up with like 950 yards, something like that, and like 15 touchdowns.
I saw you had over 1,200 all-purpose yards.
All-purpose
Wow,
yards.
that's pretty
yes.
awesome.
Yeah, he did. I was proud of him. I mean, it's tough being a sophomore jumping in there because he took some shots.
Yeah.
He took some shots in some of them games, and what's weird, the crazy part about it, as explosive as Michael and Keon they are, teams were lining up with 8 in the box to stop the run and trying to play man-to-man against them guys. And we kept saying, I know this team isn't going to play man-to-man. Not again. Like Parkersburg South and them did. We couldn't believe it.
Right.
But, yeah, so that's their players. I mean, of course, we have our line did great. Of course, we have guys like Zach Loddick, who played outside linebacker, who was great on defense. Jameson Maynard was our do-everything. He was our middle linebacker. He was our tight end / H-back. He led the team in tackles. Then we had our safeties, which were Jared Marsh he tied the state in interceptions. He had tied for number 1 in the whole state for interceptions. And then our safeties were both young, both sophomores. They rotated in and out. And so we'll actually, our line, we'll only lose 1 guy off our offensive line.
That's big.
And actually the guys that come in and played, we rotated that our big boy Derek, which he's unbelievable. He played left guard and D tackle, but we played our young kids also with him to give him breathers. So there'd be series where he's just going to play defense. Right. So we bring a younger guy in and let him play guard. So really, in reality, all our guys will be back on the line.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Mm-hmm. Oh, let me talk about one more kid. We have one kid, which Jordan Beasley.
Okay.
A beast. He was the kid that our D lineman that a lot of people, even including myself, we never thought. Like, I mean, he's 6 foot, like you said, 6 foot, 200 pounds, playing D line in AAA football. And listen, he gave him hell. I mean, they couldn't block him. No one could block him because he's so quick off the ball. And I'm telling you, when I coached him in Little Patriots, I said, this boy will never play a part. And I love him to death because he'll run through a brick wall. Right. And I was thinking, there's no way. She proved us all wrong. He actually was a captain. And if he was 6 foot, or if he was 6'3", 250, he's going to go play college football easily.
Right.
Yep. But
so with all these great guys that you just named off, man, it's awesome seeing you glowing. You talking about these guys, you're happy. You're happy like they're all your kids.
Yes, man. There was we got some great kids, man, and that's what football brings. Right. It brings that relationship that a lot of sports you don't get because you're with these kids from almost all year round. Right. And at Park, we start in June. We have a 3-week period in June, and from then on we don't stop till after till you're done. And hopefully late November, December, but at least November. Nope. And so you're with them a lot. It's fun. I've been doing it for a lot of years. Actually, and with my Little Patriots, half these kids I coached Little Patriots also when they were 7 and 8 years old.
Yeah, watching them grow. That's very cool.
Yep.
And it seems like you're coaching for the right reasons too. You're just to help the kids.
Help the kids, man. I had some guys on there talking about, you just wanted to coach because your son's playing. I was coaching before my son was even born.
Right.
Yeah.
Actually, even before Savion, my oldest son, was born. He was little, and I was already coaching. And people would try to say that. I mean, of course, it comes with it. But,
right.
So with that, with you seeing everything, so you've been coaching about 15 years.
Yeah.
How would you say the atmosphere now with how many distractions that these kids have? How are you guys able to turn out a good product every year and keep these guys engaged in football?
It's tough, man. It is so tough compared to when, of course, I'm older than y'all. I'm older than everybody in here.
Right.
And, of course, back then, no cell phones, so the cell phones was huge.
Right.
The social media wasn't big like that either. You couldn't go on Facebook.
Right.
Was none of that. Now, I mean, it's just so much outside distractions with. I mean, these girls are wild too. Don't get me wrong; the girls are even crazier now. To me. So these boys have a hard time. I tell you that. And but it's a lot different. But I tell you, we have to really hone in on them a lot. Like, listen, we're gonna have to call this house and make sure y'all are in on some nights.
Right.
Like, there's some days like we have our PL days, so we don't have school on Friday. The teachers do, but the kids don't. So we're like, listen, the first game we lost at university, and we should have never lost to them. That hurt us. That first night we didn't have school on Friday, and we lost. And so from then on, we had 2 more games like that, and the coaches came together and said, listen, let's get their butts up. They're going to lift weights at 9:30 in the morning. Get them up and get them moving Thursday, that Friday morning. We ain't letting them just sit around all day Friday, just chilling. And so that's what we did.
Right.
And, and we checked to make sure they was in the house too that night before. Told them no Fortnite till 3 in the morning and all that. No, take your butts to bed.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think like most professional athletes now, they have like streaming channels. They'll get done with a game and hop on their thing. So the kids are seeing that, like I have to do
Right,
that
yeah.
too. And,
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. Definitely.
So between coaching and playing yourself, do you have an opinion on turf versus a regular field?
Oh, that's a tough one, man.
It's anytime we have a sports episode, it's usually brought up.
Look, as a running back, you love the turf only because you can cut.
Yeah.
But then as a running back, it also scares you because you can cut so hard of your knees. And I get scared. I'm a mess. I played on grass, and I told them I love grass except when it's raining. If it rains, I forget that grass. I don't want no grass if it's raining.
Right.
But in the turf, it's just it grabs you almost. It feels like it's grabbing you. But
Yeah.
even though the turf is a lot better than what it was, it's that field turf now, but it's still a little different. It just ain't. And of course, my oldest son, I don't know if you remember, Shay, my Savion tore his knee up his junior year. And it wasn't because of the turf. He just got hit. But I've been a mess. Like, I'm telling you, I got like, what do you call it?
PTSD.
PTSD. Listen, I'm in the headset and they're laughing at me. I'm like, get up, get up, get up. Every time someone gets tackled.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just a mess because of that turf.
How much did the injury that you said it ended your career back in the day, how much did that help with you being able to be there psychologically for Savion when it happened with him?
Listen, I was a mess. I can't even lie. I was probably more of a mess than him, I think, because I hurt for him because I knew what he's about to go through.
Right.
Even though I didn't have to go through as much because I didn't tear my ACL. It was my MCL. And a lot of times, depending on the severity of your MCL, sometimes they'll let your MCL heal. Mine had to have a little surgery, but it wasn't nothing like that ACL because Savion tore, it's called the horrible triad. So he tore the ACL, MCL, LCL. The meniscus was torn, the PCL. Like, it was the entire knee. Yeah. And that's what, so it was rough. It was a rough year trying to walk him up and down the steps. And then the main thing was a lot of colleges backed away after he hurt his knee.
Right.
Because as a sophomore, he had Toledo, Youngstown State, Kent State. They were all over him.
Right.
And then when he tore that knee, they kind of like was like, ugh. And Savion will tell you, even though he come back his senior years when we won the state championship in 2015, he had like 1,900 yards rushing that year, coming off that knee injury, but he wasn't the same.
Okay.
And sometimes it takes 2 years for you to get all the way back. And those colleges, they ain't waiting on you.
Right.
So, but he ended up still going to North Carolina A&T on a full route with Elijah Bell. They both went together. And Savion had a shoulder. He had so many issues, man. After he hurt his knee that senior year, he tore his shoulder the second game of the season. He completely tore his labrum out. If he would yawn, it would pop out of place. So he wore a brace even when he slept, so his arm wouldn't pop out of place. But he didn't want to have surgery. He said, "I'm playing my senior year."
Yeah, no.
And he wore a brace from week 2, and it only popped out. What's crazy is it only popped out one more time. It was the state championship. It popped out twice. The brace ripped in the state championship, and his crazy self went back in the game with it like that. And we ended up winning, but that shoulder when he went to A&T, the first spring game where he had his chance after their tailback went to the NFL, he's going to have a shot to start. Shoulder gone again, same shoulder. So that's when he ended up transferring back to West Liberty and playing the rest of his career there. But he had injury, so. But that one little injury started it all.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So we had a viewer submitted question for you when they found out you're coming in. So from all the high school fields that you've coached on, where is your preferred field to play away? Where do you prefer to coach at when you're not at home?
I would say, what are the best atmospheres or just field? They mean just the field.
Atmosphere, kind of both, yeah.
Steubenville, Big
I
Red.
was going to say
Steubenville.
that would have been
A
my
lot of people
guess.
say that. Yeah.
Steubenville, they're on top of you. The fans are screaming at you. It's
Yeah.
fun. Well, if you can compete with them, it's fun.
Right,
If you're
yeah.
getting your butts kicked, it ain't fun.
Bring back home from Oklahoma State as far as like coaching wise, training wise,
Yeah.
preparation.
Well, well, of course, my kids, I trained them a lot as a running back. I trained those guys a lot and how to, and I try to talk to them about how you have to eat also, because it all affects you, your eating habits and a lot of the agility. And, and I'm not too, back in the day, I think, oh, you got to lift so much weight, be so big and strong. But I don't agree with that as much no more. When I told him that, I said, even when I was at Oklahoma State, we had Coach Glass. Actually, he's still the strength conditioning coach from when I was there.
Jeez.
He's still at Oklahoma State to this day. He was there when Barry Sanders was there also. And I've talked to him when I was there in the spring, and he said, I get him strong and ready, but I want him to be athletic. I don't want him to be bulky and tight and too strong. And a lot of times now, if you notice, Achilles are getting torn. But the athletes are so strong that our joints can't handle it.
Got you.
So now I'm trying to like I told my youngest one, I want you to be strong, but you don't need to squat 550 pounds on your knees and all that.
Right.
Just be strong though,
Right.
because I don't want you doing so much power when you plant and cut that it's boom. And yep. So a lot of that stuff I try to teach, not to cut so hard, but it's hard to tell somebody, oh, stop jamming your knee when you cut so hard. It's hard to say that in the middle of a game.
Right.
Yeah.
What is the horizon looking like in Wheeling Park football for next year? You say you have a lot of guys staying.
We do. We have a bunch of guys back, and I think we're going to shock some people with our wideouts because, of course, Michael and Keon are, they're unbelievable, and they're both going to play college football, like I said. But we have some young kids. Like see that number 10 down, Owen Dombrinsky Hines.
Mm-hmm.
He's just as fast as any kid you'll see in the state. Like he's a blazer. He's only a sophomore, and he can fly. He didn't get to play. He hurt. He was hurt probably for 8 weeks, and we thought, of course, we're like, come on, man, you're all right. He had a little fracture in his leg, and no one knew it. And the whole time he was out there trying to move a little bit. Then he finally took a break, and we put him in a boot, and they put him on crutches for about 5 weeks. The last 2 weeks, he was back to flying around again. So we have him back. We have a receiver, Brendan Wack, that played slot this year. He caught, I think, 5 touchdowns. He caught a big one against St. Clairsville. He's only a sophomore. He'll be back. Then we have Colin Wiley, who actually can be really good if we get him right. But there's always something. You got to get him right.
Mm-hmm.
But he has all the tools to be really good. He's a sophomore wideout. We have another wideout that's a project named, we call him Cash, and Cash is like 6'3", 6'4". Wideout. Now he moved here from Colorado 4 years ago, so he went to Philadelphia, but he really never played football until the last couple of years. And he's 6'4", 200-something pounds, and can run. He just got to put it together with catching. And I think Aiden Davis is going to work with him in the spring and in the summer, and he's going to be dangerous.
That sounds like a tough matchup.
Mm-hmm. And then you got Jameson Maynard back, who played the H-back / tight end, which he'll be back. And I think there's we have Jed Hunley that can play slot or outside. Also, he played a little bit this year. He broke his thumb, but he played safety, so it took him out of playing a little bit of wide out, but he can play receiver also. So we'll have some kids back. Now, of course, nothing like looking out there and seeing Michael and Keon. That puts fear. That just brings fear to you. But, I mean, it might not fear them early. I think middle of the season, they'll be like, oh, shoot.
Yeah.
These kids, we got to back up.
Yeah.
because I also don't want them stacking the box to stop Amari either. So, but yeah, we'll have some kids back.
Schedule looking similar. And
Well, that's another issue. We got to find 4 games, and because St. Clairsville dropped us. We have Hedgesville that dropped us. The 2 Pittsburgh schools dropped us. So now we're trying to figure out a way to fill out those holes and see. You're not gonna believe this, but there's teams like today. I was in there with Coach Doc, and there's this team out of Cleveland. They're Division II in Ohio, and they're pretty good. And they seen that we played Steubenville and said, just because we play Steubenville,
Right.
they said they don't want to play. And they said, we watched your film. No way. And I'm telling you, it hurts us just because we play Steubenville, because they're saying, like, if you're going to play Steubenville, then we don't want to play you.
right.
You must be.
That's how much Steubenville has in Ohio, across the entire state of Ohio.
For sure.
Right.
Yes. And so it's hurting us. And that team might whoop our butts and they don't even know it, but they're just thinking, well, I don't know if I want to take that chance of driving 2 hours and losing
Right.
to a team from West Virginia when they may beat us, but they don't even want to take that chance. So we got to find 4 games. We're moving Parkersburg South to the first game. I guess it's going to be called the Patriot game because we're both Patriots.
Yeah.
So each year now we're going to play them open up at home and away. It's, just rotate it. I think they're trying to put a trophy or something involved with the game and call it the Patriot game.
That'd be pretty cool.
that's
Yeah.
pretty cool.
Develop a rivalry. every
Love,
year.
yep,
Yeah.
yep.
So I know when we were coming up and we were around school, we had our coaches at school. We had Coach Fitch or Coach Dave.
Mhm.
You didn't want to mess up around them guys when you were
Yes.
at school. Is
Yes.
it like that for you? Like for your kids when they see you walking down the hall, they straighten up.
Straighten up real quick. I tell them too late. I already seen you. I already seen you acting up in the hall. Stop it. Cause I'm up to school. I'm a paraprofessional, and with kids with autism is what I specialize with, kids with autism. And of course, I'll have my kids out in the hallway with them. I'll be walking, and they don't even know I'm in the hallway mixed. Wheeling Park's huge.
Yeah.
So I'll just be mixed in with the students, and they'll be up there trying to jack around and be like, oh, there's Coach Boogie. Like, too late. Yeah. But that's how it is. It's like that. It is.
I saw the one video that you posted. You had your kids at the Y.
Oh,
I
man.
watched it like 20 times. He went down the hole. He gave me one. I watched that thing like 20 times.
Listen, you heard me. I was hyping him up, boy. Hey, listen, we laughed and laughed for a half an hour straight, man. Because you couldn't tell that boy nothing. You thought that rim was really 10 feet, too, the way he dunked on it. You couldn't tell him nothing. But yeah, those are our kids. Our kids with autism, we have a good time, man. You got to have a great time with those kids.
Right.
I've been doing that for 14 years, actually. And I love it, though. I love it.
Do you encourage your kids to play other sports in the other seasons, or is there a certain sport that you would suggest them to play?
No, I want kids to play multiple sports.
Yeah.
I don't like that one sport thing and
Right.
just singling on one sport.
Mm-hmm.
Like Amari played, my son, he plays basketball, so I also want him to run track. But the problem I got with him though, because it's people like him at basketball a little too much. So,
Yeah.
and like he played. Actually, he did play on a big travel team called West Virginia Gold last year, and they traveled around like they were in college, and it blew my mind. I mean, they was in Nebraska one weekend, come back out, then they're in Oklahoma one weekend. It was, and they're flying,
Right.
and I mean it's free. They're flying, getting picked up in a charter bus at the airport. I mean, it was big time, and but I also want him to run track because football players need to run track. Track just makes you faster. It does. So Amari, it's a tough one with me and him there because I want him to run track, and he wants to play basketball some more too. But then he loves football more than basketball. So I said, you got to make a choice now.
Right.
Do you want to travel, or do you want to be a little bit faster? Because speed. One thing about it, speed.
Yeah.
We all know, especially coming from West Virginia. You better have some speed because you're already behind the 8 ball.
Yeah, that's true.
You're already behind the 8 ball recruiting. Yep.
So any other news in any other sports, NCAA, or think of any big
Well,
news this
today
past
is
week
what?
since I've seen you guys?
Tuesday. So the new playoff rankings coming out tonight at 7.
Oh, really?
So I'd say Georgia probably hops up to number 1.
Did you guys see where the recruits stole the Colorado football players' jewelry? Remember when?
Oh, yeah.
Did y'all see that?
Yeah.
That's unbelievable.
Where was that at?
It was Colorado played UCLA.
It was
And
at-
so when they went out, it was
yeah.
at UCLA. When they went out to
yeah.
the field for the game, the recruits that were there for UCLA went back into their locker room and stole all the jewelry.
Rolex was gone. Yeah.
Speaking of Colorado, what do you foresee from Dion being there? How do you think that program is going to shape?
It's as long as he has to start, he has to win next year. More, I mean, even though to this year, I think it's a win already.
Right.
It's a win already for him now, and I think that everybody was expecting them to go after they beat TCU. Thought they were going to go like 9-2 or something.
Yeah.
Right.
And I didn't expect that because I knew from watching that game their offensive line and defensive line wasn't ready for the big boys yet. And I think Dion's going to get them big boys in there on that offensive defensive line, and they're going to win.
Right.
They're going to win because it's a party there, and kids are going to go. My goodness.
Also, believe it or not, Jim Harbaugh.
I was going to say, is he catching flack for this now?
I'm not sure like what's going to come of this situation, but they have turned me into someone who was rooting for Michigan to win.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why.
It's just like everybody going against them, huh?
Yeah,
They're just
yeah.
trying to find stuff.
Yep.
Yeah.
Q's being an Ohio State fan.
I don't agree.
He's giving me the red knuckles over there. He can't wait to fire off.
I don't know how I feel about all of it. I don't know.
Because you know what the funny thing is? Everyone tries to steal signs.
Right, yeah.
Everyone
Every-
tries to
right.
steal a sign. But I mean, that's kind of going deep, going flying to different
Yeah.
places,
Filming.
filming and all that. But
Master of disguise.
yes,
Yeah, on the Central Michigan sideline.
that's unbelievable.
I know.
Yeah.
So, have you had enough of seeing Taylor Swift on the side of the Chiefs games?
Oh my God, Jesus! Can't watch a game without it, huh?
And now it's
Yeah.
Brittany Mahomes' best friend. Now Brittany Mahomes. It's all
I
Brittany
know.
Mahomes is in every headline now.
Brittany Mahomes is jealous. They saying now because she don't get the press. She don't get the press like she used to.
She don't need it.
I'm okay
Yeah.
with it as long as Chris Collinsworth isn't covering the game.
Oh my God, he drives you nuts, don't he?
Yeah, he does.
My goodness.
It reminds me a lot of when Jessica Simpson started dating Tony Romo.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
I think they got a couple like higher ratings or something after the first time. Then they just rolled it for that whole season.
I mean, as soon as a touchdown scored, they go to
Go
her.
straight to her.
Yeah.
Straight to her.
There was one play, I think it was Travis Kelce. He made some like ridiculous catch, and they were like replaying it, but they didn't replay
Play
the
it.
catch. They shot up to Taylor Swift's reaction.
Jumping up and down. Yeah. Her reaction. That's funny.
All right, sports fans, we're going to put a tie on this episode. It was perfect. Thank you guys for coming in. Thank you for the picks. Boogie, we'll have to do this again, definitely.
Yes,
Thank you for coming
definitely.
in. Really
Yeah.
appreciate it.
Yep.
And we'll see you guys soon on the next one.